channel. I think I froze. I'm not freezing now. Okay. I'll just start recording again. Boy, I had to edit that one. I started joking when I said Halima. But she says recession fears have been driving prices down. OPEC decided to cut production based on that. There are rumors that the Biden administration is perhaps going to ask U.S. producers or ban U.S. producers from exporting oil. That will bring prices down here locally, but it will put a world of hurt on our allies around the world because it will drive the price of oil up globally. The U.S. is pushing Saudi. Europe will need oil when they sanction Russia. U.S. producers have not increased their production. She says it will all come to a head in December, when the European sanctions go in place. So that's kind of my oil update. If we look at some of the oil stocks, I'm going to go down to my notes here. One of the ones that I like and Tom likes on Twitter, Venom. He kind of called this way down here around 27, I think, and said it was going to go to 30. See the button hook? The button hook's happening. I don't know that this is going to be a get you out kind of day, but it does look like it. There's a gap here between 28 and 29. I like this one under 30. Just completely, if it goes under 30, I like it. Their earnings are coming up on November 8th. When we look at FinViz and we look at Venom, their dividend is 10.35%. Performance year to date, they are up 46%. So it's a great energy stock to buy. COP, ConocoPhillips. Let's look. You're starting to get in the button hook here. Look at that MACD. That MACD is way up there. It faked us out before, so I don't want to say that it's absolutely going to cross down. The RSI is at 56. Their earnings are coming up November 2nd. So you do have this kind of button hook that's setting up just because it's so overbought. You've got gaps down here about 103 to 106. I would probably like it under 110. You've filled all of these gaps here that have gone on before. Remember when I said it was 106, you had this gap here at 112. Pretty clear you were going to fill that one. It is essentially making it's hitting lower high or higher highs, which means it's probably going to continue its run. You can see it's using the 200-day right here as a support level. This is a positive moving stock. I wouldn't expect it to trend downward unless there's some type of recession stuff going on. But I would like this one under 110. I think it's been overextended. Devon Energy, which we talk about a lot because I personally own it. It's up 1% in the pre-market. There is a gap down here between 61 and 62, which will be filled. You can see the button hook is happening. This is looking to get out probably in today's candle because that MACD actually did cross down. So if you're in this one, probably take profits. I probably will take profits because it will come down to this level. Your earnings are coming out November 2nd. Now, here's what you have to worry about. Any type of early earnings announcement of this one will probably pop the stock. So while you want to get out from a chart standpoint, your dividend is 6.85, so you're not in danger of losing that one. You can absolutely take profits on this one. The ex-dividend date was September 9th, so you're not in danger of that. You are at danger of an early price announcement. You are in danger of a pop in oil, natural gas, or something moving this one higher. You can clearly see there's a gap up here that was filled between 72 and 73. It was filled back here October 10th. So the gaps have been filled on the way up. The only gap that hasn't been filled is on the way down, 60 to 63. So I like it. I probably will take my profits on it at some point in time this week. Occidental Petroleum is up 1.32 in the pre-market. There's a gap here between 74 and 75. This one has a gap up. Now, here's the dilemma on this. This moves with Devon. You had a MACD cross down here, but your 9-day is above your 21-day. So it didn't get you out of this current run. It is currently moving in the upward direction. My assumption is that 200-day is providing it a significant support level. I'm so sorry for anybody on YouTube. Let me know if you hear the high-pitched sound. Barb said no. I'm not going to type that, but Barb said no, you can't hear it, but just let me know. I wanted to put the chat in there too. But I am so sorry for the disgusting display of what I just had. I choked earlier, so I needed water. Where was I? Okay. So Occidental Petroleum, you've got a good dividend on this one. Warren Buffett owns 20%, but Pfizer CEO is talking on CNBC about getting COVID twice. Jesse, no sound. Good. Jesse was one of the dog people who heard the sound, so he says there's no high-pitched squeal on YouTube. But here's Occidental Petroleum. I own this one. I think I have a fairly large position. I like it. I probably am not getting rid of it because the algorithm says not to get in it. So it's completely opposite from Devon, even though those two move in tandem. Exxon Mobil, I own it. It is up over 100 again. I say over 100, sell this one under 100, hold on to it and buy it. You can see there's gaps down here that have been created. It's been filled. See, it's got this second gap here. So it'll go back down to 90 at some point in time. Their earnings are coming up October 27th. This one's kind of extended. The button hook is happening. I wouldn't expect this one. Let's look at XOM. Their dividend, I think it's like 3.4%, 3.55%. Their 52-week high is 105. So it's getting up there in the 52-week range of being high. It's probably a good time to sell in my mind. It's up at $100.20 in the pre-market. CVX we talked about. This one is Chevron, and around 160 is where the pivot is. Now it's gotten up to 160. You're seeing the button hook. Again, there's gaps on the way down at 144. It's got a super high MACD. The RSI is at 55. So if you're in it, remember I always say in this market, you want to take profits when you can. Don't be afraid of taking profits. If it moves up 10% tomorrow, you've still got a profit. Doesn't matter. You can always buy back in at some point in time. These aren't like stocks that have a undetermined top. For instance, yes, energy will continue to run, but as we've seen in the last 10 years, then they're going to stop. They're going to pull back. These are in a trading range. Fossil fuels are just, a trading range. FANG, Diamondback Energy, you've got, again, gaps on the way down. Looks like it was, gaps on the way down. See this gap right here, 122 to 125. You're at 139. You're button hooking. It's going to get you out today. So FANG, there is no reason to hold on to it for the dividend. The earnings are coming up November 7th. It's the only time to come out to kind of get back in with earnings, because I do think that the first earnings that come out next week for energy, you're going to see these things kind of pop. Pioneer Natural Resources, this is one, the button hook has happened, the cross down has happened. It probably will not get you out just because of the moving averages, but you do have a gap that on the way down. This is the gap right here between 224 and 218. You're at 240 right now. Again, the ex-dividend date is passed. Your earnings are coming up November 2nd. There's no reason to kind of, hang out in this one. So that's energy. Bank of America, we're talking about financials. I said, hey, get this one under 100, under 30. 31.53 is the cross up right here. And that was on Friday, October 13th. That cross up right there is 31.53. I think you're 31.75. Let's switch over to Active Trader Pro because this one, they announced earnings this morning. They beat. And it was a fairly handy beat on both the top and the bottom. And when you hear people say top and bottom, hey, KB, first-time YouTube watcher, long-time podcast listener, welcome. And sorry, I totally get distracted on this. But Bank of America, when you hear people say, hey, they beat on the top line and the bottom line, the top line is revenue. The bottom line is earnings per share. So total revenue doesn't mean anything if your costs are completely out of line. So that's essentially what it means by top and bottom line. If you want to know what things mean, you can typically go to investopedia.com. But here is Bank of America's chart. Let's look at a 2-day chart. And I don't want a 1 minute. I'm going to go to a 5 minute because who cares about 1 minute unless you're day trading. Here's where the earnings came out this morning. Boom. Stock's up. So you can see it's at 32.60, 32.70. In the pre-market, it closed at 31.70. Their PE ratio is 9. Their dividend yield is 2.78. Their ex-dividend date was September 1st, so you don't have dividends coming up. But if you see this is how you day trade on Active Trader Pro. You can see how the Bollinger Bands are there. The moving averages are there. Candles are great. Again, it's got this most recent in the 5 minutes, it's down. But look at the current candle. I'm going to move in so you can see it. Look at that current candle on the right-hand side right there, right where my cursor is. It's the current candle is between, it opened at 32.45. Its low was 32.43. Its high is 32.92. It's just got confirmation up. Green candle just means that it is currently higher than where it opened up at. Red candle doesn't mean that it went down, just means that it closed lower than when it opened up at. That's all it means. So when you want, you're looking to day trade, you can look at a triple bar, which is a green bar followed by a red bar followed by a higher green bar. That's confirmation. But look at the Bollinger Bands. They're syncing up. This one's trading right now outside of the top of the Bollinger Band. It's going to come back down. So if you had a way to short this one, you'd probably want to short it and scalp it, blah, blah, blah. But that's a good view of that one. Now, when we look at the algorithm on this one, you can see the earnings are coming up. There's no catalyst going forward. Let's take a look at some of I'm going to drag this volume shelf right here to its most recent high. And you can see there's a clear volume shelf here at $30.87. But look up. $33 is where there's a volume shelf where probably will be a magnet, because if it's not going to go back down to the $30 range, it's going to go up to this 33 range. So I think if you're playing options, I think this would be a good options play. I'm not an options trader, so I don't know how to do that. Well, I shouldn't say I don't know how to. I just don't gamble like that. I'd rather buy a good company, Bank of America, that has good earnings, that has a solid foundation with rising interest rates. They did announce, this is what's crazy, their average loan, and I think it includes mortgages, car loans, and everything like that, but their average loan is up 12%. If we assume that inflation has been up somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10%, people are taking out more money. That's kind of a dangerous slide. So, and speaking of recession and dangerous slide, Morgan Stanley says Apple is a top stock to own in the event of a U.S. recession. So we're going to look at Apple right here. We are up 2% in the pre-market, and most likely it's on that news. You can see there's a cross up here at 141.72. The RSI is down at 37. That MACD is down well below the oscillator on the MACD. Their earnings are coming up October 27th. I completely expect this one to be up a year from now, I should say. If we're in a deep recession, I wouldn't expect it to be kind of that much changed. The problem with Apple, and we talk about this all the time when you look on FinViz, is their PE. The PE is currently at 22. The PE of Apple wants to be at 17 because that's where the MACD is. Year to date, you're down 22. What are you down? 22%, I should say. SPY is down 24%. So you're beating the S&P by 2%. They are 7% above their 52-week high of 129. I don't know that you want to gamble for 7%, but they're 24% below their 52-week low. And if you don't think that Apple's going to continue to grow their business, A, you're crazy. B, don't invest in the stock. Then again, it's not a stock for you. The stock market is all opinions. There's no necessarily facts about where this thing's going to go. It's all opinions. So, but there is an Apple store in Oklahoma that just voted for a unionization. Expect that Apple store to most likely be closed. Also, Apple announced that they will not be using Chinese chips amid political pressure. So they're kind of getting, most likely there's some behind the scenes kind of talks going on. President Xi over the weekend warned about Western interference with Taiwan. Remember how Putin used oil as the sanctions against, he invaded Ukraine. He stopped Nord Stream pipeline. He's using energy as a clear economic warfare on the West. Xi may be using this. So if you think that Xi is going to start using chips, because remember, the U.S. has stopped NVIDIA, Intel, and others, and AMD, from shipping their IP to China based on national security issues. Well, that is inhibiting their kind of growth. China has said, hey, some of our chips aren't allowed to be used in the U.S. either. Well, China's not as forward as we are, but they do have the manufacturing of chips, and they do have the manufacturing in Taiwan. So the one that I'd like you to look at, and it's not a buy right now, is in this case SOXL. SOXL is a triple levered bull ETF on the semiconductor industry. It has been in a downward slide since August. There is a volume shelf here around 7. It's trading at 691 right now. There's a volume shelf between 752 and 792. If we look at, I'm going to move this to more of a daily so that we can see where this was pre-pandemic. I'm going to move to a weekly because I don't care about the whole movement per se, but I want to see where we were pre-pandemic. Right before the pandemic started in February, we were at about 17 on the SOXL. There's a gap here between 16 and 18. You can clearly see that gap has been hit. We went all the way up to $60 on the SOXL. There is a clear volume shelf here at about $6.48. If that's the bottom, I think you're good. You're starting to go outside the Bollinger Bands, which means there's, on a weekly basis, you probably should pop up. The play recently, and these are tradable. These are not investments. SOXL and SOSX are not investments. Their costs are just too high. You will depreciate your actual asset value by holding on to these. So I don't want to see you invest in these for the long term. But SOXS has been the play. And we've talked about this. It had a buy-in here at $70.89. That is right after it got you out with a fall of only a 48% gain. And this goes all the way back to August 8th, where we started seeing these chips really go down. The caveat to this is that you do have gaps on the way down. So SOXS, you do have a gap between 54 and 57. That's the most recent one. If you go back just a couple of weeks, you got a gap here between 46 and 48. So you do have gaps on the way down. You have no gaps to be filled on the way up. Let me just pull back now. You got no gaps to be filled on the way up. This one on October 13th went all the way up to 89. And again, this is SOXS. Right now, it's trading at $80. You had that buy-in at 70. It's trading at 80. I would expect it to come back down to the 70 range. I would also expect it to cover this this gap here between 54 and 55. But again, with Xi President Xi raising alarms, SOXS could be the play, and this could be a significant play. Let's look at SOXS in FinViz. You're 10% below your 52-week high of 89.59. You're 156% above your 52-week low of 31. Year to date, this is up 134%. This is a short on the chip sector, semiconductor sector. So I like this one. Right now, I wouldn't tell you to get in either way. I think the SOSX has been extended, but I think the SOXL hasn't shown a cross-up to the point where I say absolutely get in. The RSI is at 30, though. The MACD is significantly down. I think your next move is in the SOXL, but if the S&P continues to move down, you're going to have these chips just completely fall. Let's look at another energy that I like. You guys know KOLD and BOIL. KOLD has been your constant steady here. 1383, September 19th was the buy-in. You're looking at a gap down here just before that buy-in, between $10 and $11. This has just been a steady, slow kind of trudge up. See that 200-day, that red line? It's using that as resistance. So my guess is that BOIL is probably using the 200-day. It just crossed that death cross right there, and you're seeing BOIL just continue down. I think it's at 45. Let me go to Active Trader Pro. We can look at BOIL. And see Bank of America is still outside that Bollinger Band on a 5-hour chart, a 5-minute chart. BOIL is one. It is trading way down, 44.98. So see how it's trading below the Bollinger Band, and then it popped back up. So it went down to 44. It's now at 44.80. It's got some confirmation of a run up here on a 5-minute chart. If we get a 1-minute chart, yeah, you can kind of see that it gained some positive. It traded above that 9 in the 21-day right there. So it's got some confirmation. It's trading above the Bollinger Band, so it's going to pull back down a little bit. But obviously, this is a trend down. Let's look at KOLD, because when you look at BOIL, KOLD has the exact opposite. It's going up. And ignore that 1777 right there. That candle is just a mistake. It's nothing. But it's trading at 1957. So KOLD has been your trade. And KOLD is today's trade as well. Let's look at, since we're talking about natural gas, my favorite natural gas play, which is LNG. You're still in this one. I wanted to look at this one because I don't think I looked at it all last week. 164 was your buy-in. 170 is your current price. And November 2nd are their earnings. Let me just see where they're trading. I won't switch over, but LNG, it doesn't have a ton of pre-market volume. But your 10-day is 2.8 million. Your 90-day volume is 2.6 million. So it has traded. You've gotten all the way up to 178, which was September 14th. But last week's close was 170. You're trading in the pre-market at 171. So even though BOIL is down, LNG is up. And the reason is because LNG is going to take cheap U.S. Natural gas, and they're going to sell it in Europe for a gain. They've developed Louisiana port, and I think they have a Dutch port. So they can just take it, ship it over, sell it for a ton of profit. And that's what LNG is going to do. So that's the energy. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, I said the book value is, I think, 301. Anything under 300, buy it. Anything over 300, sell it. Tomorrow morning, they come out with earnings. Remember, Bank of America, JP Morgan, all positive earnings. So you've got this stuff moving up. 307.74 is still your buy-in on the algorithm, and 307.74, you're still in this. The MACD has not crossed down. See how it's up there? Even though the price has kind of come down, it hasn't crossed down. I would still say buy this one under 300. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. Boy, it's telling me dropped frames, 0.1%. Goldman Sachs is at 307. Boy, it closed at 299.99. See that? 299.99. Wow. Yeah. Your 52-week high is 426. 52-week low is 277. So you're not at your 52-week low. But if we go back here and we look at FinViz and we go to Goldman Sachs, the key point for financials is over here on the left-hand side. Book/SH. Book value per share. 301.88. You want to buy it around there, below there. Below there is even better for a thing that's a stock that's trending up. But around there is where you want to buy it. Now, Goldman Sachs is going to report tomorrow. They have, there's reports that they have a significant restructuring that will be going on. And it will be announced on earnings tomorrow. So if that's taken well by the street, you could see a pop. Again, at $300, I don't think you're buying Goldman Sachs. If we head into a recession, remember, Goldman does a lot of their business on reorganization. So I saw a stock at LFG, which is Archaea Energy. And the name energy hit me. But let's go to Active Trader Pro because I have this note under my energy before I get out of energy. LFG. Yeah, look at that. From 1650 to 2673. Go to FinViz. And we look, they're losing money. BP Renewable. They're being bought by BP. And here's a Wall Street Journal article that I can't read. $26 a share is the share price. So $26 a share. We go in here. It's trading at $25.74. Could make 25 cents, which is 1%. You could look into this one, but I saw that one, and since it's energy, that just means to me that there's consolidation in the energy industry. I will be right back, guys, on YouTube Live. I'll look at BEP. Give me a second real quick. Dog's crying. Okay, Jim Cramer's on CNBC. I just walked into the other room. I have CNBC in the other room, and Jim Cramer is pontificating about Goldman Sachs. But now I'll start about Goldman Sachs again. Am I showing Goldman Sachs? Let's show Goldman Sachs. Watch this stock. Boom, 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 boom. That's Bank of America earnings. That's restructuring. That's what it is. Okay, let's go back to the podcast. So Goldman Sachs, looking at it on Active Trader Pro right now, it popped in pre-market. It is trading at 307. So hopefully you got it under 300 because on the algorithm chart, if we look at that one, we will go to Goldman Sachs. I think it has a buy-in here at 307.74, and it's trading at 305. You can get it at 305 right now. It'll open up probably around that price. Probably we're going to see an update. Performance chart, the algorithm makes you 87% versus buy and holding gets you 45%. That's just because, and for Goldman Sachs, this is crazy, but look at this buy right here in July, where you went from, looks like 300 up to about 350. That was a really good move. You've got some gaps up here that haven't been filled, and it's at 336. So I think there's a good opportunity to get in there. You can clearly see that even here, October 4th, you're starting to use this 200-day at 316 as a resistance level. If you can get past there, I think you got 330, 340 in the books. I would guess that would be a good thing. By the way, there was a news story on Friday about the Fed Governor Bostic trading stocks while he's actually setting policy against the rules. Will anything happen to him? Probably not. I mean, anything happen to these senators, governors? Don't get me started. I applied for my absentee ballot, and what a freaking nightmare that is. But tune into Rick's podcast to hear me be triggered on that one. It's Election Insider with Rick. That's his podcast. He is the former director of elections in Fulton County and my personal friend. So I've hopped on there. One thing I want to show is Meta. And Meta is just a nightmare of a stock. I bought this one at 300. I actually have no interest in the metaverse. And I am in the majority of Americans. Zero interest in the metaverse. This is trading at 129. This is a stock that it got you out. The algorithm loses you 52%. Buying and holding the stock loses you 51%. Your average win, you only win 24% of the time, and your average win is only 3%. Your average loss is 4%. So this has made no sense to actually buy. Zuckerberg is just leading us down a path. Now, here's the thing. I can't see myself putting on a headset and actually enjoying it. I enjoy video games. I have an Xbox. I basically play a lot of sports on Xbox. I play some first-person shooters. Not a big fan. Driving games. Used to love getting on NASCAR and playing with 32 other people, racing in Daytona and Talladega, having the car setups. Used to love that. It's as I've gotten older, it's getting a little bit, kind of who wants to put in. I always wind up putting like 2-3 hours into gaming, so I try not to do it just because I get out there. But here's what I saw, and I was on Instagram, and I think his name is Marquise Brownlee. You guys know MKBHD. He's a famous YouTuber. He does tech reviews, and on Instagram, he showed the new Meta headphones, and this was a use case I hadn't thought of. But with me traveling, and you guys know with the laptop, I hate the fact that I don't have monitors. I love this big screen monitor that's right in front of me. It's a 27-inch iMac. I don't need another monitor. When I was actually in the workforce, I had 4 monitors. I loved it, and I love trading with that. I had it right here on my desk. When I left the workforce, I just bought 27-inch iMac. Actually, when I started editing videos, I think this is 2017. So I bought this right before I left the workforce. But what he showed on his Instagram is a laptop with 5 or 4, maybe it was 6 huge monitors that he could zoom in on and actually look at with the headset on. So the monitors weren't there. What it was he had his laptop below him, and he had these monitors that were in front of him, and he could zoom in, manipulate the monitors, and do all of that. That, to me, is a use case I would absolutely use. Think about it. The workforce is currently, very mobile, and wants to be mobile, wants to work from home, wants to work from anywhere, blah, blah, blah. I do think that the characters in the metaverse make no sense whatsoever. But if you're actually chatting with somebody and they have a 360 camera at their location and you have a 360 camera at your location, and it could look just like you're talking to the person face to face and you can see their surroundings, or you can see these monitors and it feels like you're working at the desk, and that's the quote unquote metaverse, it gets the water cooler that people want. the collaboration that bosses want. So while I'm not saying buy Meta because the algorithm, clearly you can see it on your screen, the earnings are coming up. I would expect another huge downturn. They're going to beat Mark Zuckerberg up over why are you spending billions of dollars for 300 active daily users for billions of dollars. I went over this last week. I don't see it. But what I do start to see is the use case. And the use case is what you want to pay attention to. I don't think that it makes sense to sell a $1,500 headset, but the software that's associated with that is probably the biggest use case that I could see. If a monitor company like a Samsung, and I've heard people talk about this when they get on planes, and it's mostly tech people who have their phones hooked up to these headsets. And when you get on a plane, you put on the headset, and it's like you're watching a 100-foot screen, and it's like the old-time drive-in movies, or like you're in your own home theater where you have the headset plugged in and the big screen over your head, and you could basically be anywhere in the world that you want, and you're on a plane because it's running it from your phone, and you've downloaded movies and blah blah blah. So again, the use case kind of came into my head. So Meta isn't on my current buy list because I want to see how this kind of pans out. And you know what I'll do? Here's what I'll look at. We will go in. We will look at Meta, and I'm gonna look at this stock. And what we're gonna do? I'm on CNBC.com right now, by the way. We're going to compare. Let's look at compare the S&P 500 to Meta, because if you're comparing the S&P 500 to Meta, you'll see a clear. This is interesting. So, look at the S&P 500 in 5 years. You're up 39% in 5 years. With Meta, you're down 25%. So this goes all the way back to 2018. 5 years down 25%. Let's add another comparison. And we'll add in Intel Corp. And Intel is the green. And so see, Intel is down 35%. But the S&P is up 39%. Let's add in podcast favorite, Tesla. Look at that. Now I'm going to take out Tesla because look, Tesla in 5 years, up 765%. Now, let's add in another comparison. Apple, up 253%. So you can clearly see that stock picking works when you're talking about, okay, where do I want to put my money for 5 years? Let's take it down Apple. And since Google is a current, that's up 96%. And look at how much it's fallen. Again, the tech stocks have fallen. You can see the S&P has fallen, just not as big. These two will converge at some point. I think the S&P will come up and Google will kind of stay flat. But I do think that's an interesting, if you want to look at these things, look at 5-year charts and look at the comparison. And the best place I've found to do that is CNBC.com. It's free. You can go and look at it. I had a Instagram user, Jackson, ask me, he said, hey, as a podcaster, what do you think about Spotify? So the chart looks ugly. And this was my response to Jackson. The chart looks super ugly. I don't think that it's a good investment. And part of the reason I don't think it's a good investment, when you go over to FinViz, they are not making money. Their price to sales is 1, though. And that's what's interesting. Their price to sales is 1. As that starts to get to 0 or starts to get a little higher, then it should start to move. Year to date, they're down 65%. They're only 4%. Here's the problem with Spotify, and it goes to a macro rather than a micro. I am on Spotify. I use Anchor. You guys know from listening to all those freaking ads. I don't think that their ad is running anymore, so you should be able to listen to me ad-free. But Spotify or Anchor paid me and to try and ask you guys to do podcasts. Well, I think it's a great idea if you have a passion. Like I said in the ad, I truly 100% believe that. I wouldn't tell you guys that you should do a podcast if you don't believe in something. It's time, time suck. I've obviously got a lot of time on my hands. I can do these things, but they paid me to do that. I don't know how many of you actually were pushed to do a podcast. They're paying me to get you to do it in hopes that they can increase their content at a low cost. You look at what they're paying Joe Rogan. You look at what they're paying other ones of their podcasters. There are celebrities like I just saw, Kevin Bacon came out with a great podcast. It's not he's a guest on the podcast. It's Jason Bateman's podcast. I think it's Will Arnett and Jason Bateman. Go and look it up. I forget the name of it. But Kevin Bacon talks about how he got fooled and lost all of his money with Bernie Madoff. It is a brilliant, brilliant episode about how greed. Everybody talks to me, the D-Man, I believe, and some other people on Instagram. They always tell me, God, I don't get out soon enough. Listen to that podcast, that Kevin Bacon podcast about him and his wife, Kira Sedgwick. The two of them were lured in by Madoff with unbelievable promises of profit, and they couldn't get out. It was like a drug. They just couldn't get out. Listen to that podcast. Understand when I tell you, take your profits when you can. I am personally guilty of it as well. Look at my Facebook. I bought it $312. I'm still in that. That's at $120. Why would I be in that? PayPal, I bought it $290. It's like at $100. Why would I still be in that? AMD, I bought it $118. Why would I still be in that? What is it? I forget which one. Shopify. Shopify's one. It says 73 was my purchase price, I think. Went all the way up to like $1,200. Why would I still be in that? It happens to everybody, but listen to that podcast. It's a great podcast. I haven't listened to it myself. I haven't completed it, I should say. I just started it. But Jackson, would I invest in Spotify? No. And the reason is just because of cost. It's not that I don't love Spotify. I absolutely love Spotify. I am part of a family membership. They just basically, and I love the CEO's mindset. He said, we will be the audio destination for absolutely everything. That's what he wants to be. He wants to be the YouTube. He wants to be the Netflix. He wants to be the HBO Max. He wants to be the Disney Plus. He wants to be all of that for your listing. I think that's a great business idea. But costs matter. And I think he overpaid for the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't think it's delivering. I think he overpaid for other podcasts. I don't think they're delivering. So until they get their cost structure down, I wouldn't invest in them. I was looking in YouTube Live, I think before it froze on me, but Costco. I was looking at Costco, which is a podcast favorite. Got you out on Friday with a 3% loss. It's down at $4.50. Again, I don't know where this one goes. Their ex-dividend date is October 27th, which should be a catalyst. The gap that it will be drawn up to is between 533 and 540. If we are going into a recession, Costco is probably a decent one, but their PE is 34. And that's the problem. Year to date, they're down 19%. Remember, this is a company that is based on membership. They don't have a great dividend. It's only 0.79%. So they are 11% above their 52-week low. They're 25% below their 52-week high. If you're not even looking at charts, just go to FinViz and look at this chart. There is a very, very likely support level here. Back in June, the low was 446. My guess is that that's the support level that you're going to be looking at now. When I look at Costco and they are trading below the Bollinger lines on a 4-hour chart. And that typically means that you're going to go up, but it hasn't reached support yet. The algorithm has not said buy. I don't think that this is a buy. That is one that I actually like the stock, love the store, love the idea. Just probably not a great one. UNH, we had a cross up here at 516 on Friday. I say hold out for 500. There's a gap here between 506 and 511, which has been filled. This is just so expensive. That's my problem with it. And when I was looking at the healthcare industry, XLV had a cross up here at 125 just 2 days ago. It's at 123 right now. Now, I was looking at the PE of XLV. It's 5. I guess I don't. Yeah. What is the XLV PE? And I can show you right here, finance.yahoo, PE ratio, 5.82. It's the only one I was able to. If I go here to FinViz and I look, the PE of United Health is 26. So you're paying for it, but you're paying for absolute excellence. It is a well-run company. They continue to make killer profits. Again, they just announced earnings, so there's no real catalyst in the future, but you probably are trading between 500 and I'd say 525. It's kind of using that 200-day as its support. Since we are looking at maybe going into a recession, I wanted to look at utilities again because we had the Southern Company cross up on Friday at 64.65. You're at 63. So it hasn't, you can see that candle is huge. It opened at 64.65. Its high was 65.77. The period is a 1.44% difference. But again, look at that cross up there. Do I think it's going to go down? I just don't know. Their earnings are coming up October 27th. Look at that slide. Again, they're trading on the bottom side of the Bollinger Band. It's not quite outside of the Bollinger Band, but you're clearly seeing that it's got no support here. You did have that cross up. I would expect this one to go up, but who knows? The other one that was beaten up, this is Duke Energy. And look at Duke Energy. I mean, you had this cross up here at 88.89. You're at 86.95. You've got your earnings coming up November 3rd. That MACD is low. The RSI is at 2030. It's just a 30. I mean, it's just been floundering all the way down. So it hasn't. The RSI hasn't gone up. You can clearly see while the stock is just cratering. Had this death cross here on September 23rd. You're still in a negative trend. So I wouldn't expect this one to kind of move anytime soon. But I wanted to look at those because those are two that if we're going into recession, I think I hear utilities are a good play, so they're utilities. XLF, since financials, I told you about Goldman Sachs, I told you about JP Morgan, told you about Bank of America, all beating on earnings. Well, Goldman Sachs reports tomorrow. Hold on one second. XLF is one. We just did have a cross up at 31.45. You're at 31.76. I would expect this one to kind of, if you look, see these Bollinger Bands turning and they're flattening out. It's clear that the 200-day is still in negative. The 50-day is still in negative. And wow, you're really green today. Let me see. The NASDAQ opens up 2.54% up. The S&P is up 2%. The Dow Jones is up 1.69. Do not make the mistake of understanding that this is a rally. I mean, the Fed's going to do 0.75, so this is just the bounce. It's an oversold bounce. But XLF is one that when financials start to actually benefit, I think that's one that you could do. Scans. Verizon. It's the only one. And the NASDAQ, not the NASDAQ, came up in the Dow. It came up in the S&P. 36.39 had a cross up. This one's been beaten down. God, it's been beaten down. Their earnings are coming up October 20th. So this week they have earnings. This is a one that has a good dividend. They've just been beaten down because here's the thing. As we go into a recession, people are going to be looking to cut their phone bills. If you guys don't know, in Linktree, I have Visible by Verizon. You can sign up for Visible. I get a little spiff. I think I get $20 off. You get $20 off. Their new plans are $30. I mean, it's $30 unlimited. Can't beat it. Sign up. Click the link tree below. October 6th, Oppenheimer said Verizon was an outperform with a $50 price target. They're at 36 right now. They are 3% above their 52-week low. They're 34% below their 52-week high. So, in fact, let's look at their 52. Oh, their 52-week low just came. Let's see where it is right now. Since it crossed up, this is going to create some upward movement just from a MACD cross-up perspective from Verizon, just because it's not one that you typically trade. 26 million volume share on 10-day, 21 million on 90-day. So you do have some volume perspective on an upward trajectory, but it's still a downward trajectory. I just think that cross-up is a good thing. Your dividend yield is 7.17%. I have friends who hold this at 50. I have friends who hold it at 45. Again, the cross up here was at 36.39. You're trading at 36.70 right now. I think if you put in 36.39, you'll hit it at some point today. But you can see, remember I talked about the button hook? You can see the button hook happening down here. The Bollinger Bands are kind of straightening out a little bit. They're a little bit wider than I would like to see an entry, but you're coming into earnings. I don't think they're going to announce anything on earnings that's going to blow up the stock. Either way, again, you're at your 52-week low, but the mobile phone companies are a race to the bottom. So I think that's, again, you're way up today. If you were to let's look at Active Trader Pro. I'm going to go to your UPRO, which is your bullish move for the Dow, or I'm sorry, the S&P 500. You are up 6% on UPRO today, right now. SPXL, which is a bull for the S&P 500. This is a levered bull as well. You are up, SPXL. Why does it say you're down 6%? This isn't down 6%. What's going on with Active Trader Pro? Let's go to TQQQ because that's going to be way up. TQQQ is up 8%. Remember how I said buy it under 20? It's still at 19. So it's up 10%, but it's still only at 19. So your bulls are going to work today just because, it's an oversold bounce again. England the dollar's going down. Bank of America posted good earnings. We're just a little oversold. There's nothing to it. So I would expect to see this bounce. Let's look at SPY real quick. I'll go and show you. Let's look at the S&P. We'll look at SPY because SPY, my algorithm works on SPY. And you can see the button hook. 368.55 was the buy on SPY on Friday. It was a cross up. So there are algorithms that work on 4 hours. There's a bunch of them. So let me look at some for Jesse. BEP. Let's look at BEP. Some of you guys want me to look at wacky stuff too sometimes. Ooh, look at BEP getting beaten down. Algorithm doesn't have a buy. It's just gotten you out on a sell. The algorithm makes you 5% versus buying and holding for 1,000 candles loses you 21%. Your average win is only 4.9%, and you win 46% of the time. So you're winning about half the time, but it's only about a 4.9% gain. And I don't particularly like that. I like stocks that make me closer to 10% on your average win. You're not making money. The monkeys. TD Securities has the buy 41 price target. It looks like about $40 is your price target. You're trading at 27, but they're not making money. You're only 2% above your 52-week low. You're 33% below your 52-week high. BEP, I don't think it's a bad play. I think it's been beaten down. You probably could play it. See how it's down there at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands? You kind of crossed up. My guess is that you're going to probably, their earnings are coming up November 3rd. You probably play it a little bit. EPM is one that's going on YouTube Live right now. EPM from Cameron. Evolution Petroleum. God, I love energy. You had a buy-in here at 7:35 back on October 3rd. You had that button hook, and now it's just capitulating right here. See how the Bollinger Bands, see this shading? That's what Bollinger Bands are. As they move towards that, and they cinch up like that, it typically indicates a move higher or lower. And it doesn't tell you when. It just says, see how it kind of cinched up here, and then boom, it goes up. See how it cinches up here, and boom, it goes up. See how it cinches here, and boom, it goes up. That's what you're seeing right here. Now, it can cinch up and go down. Look, see? Cinched up, boom, downward. See? Cinched up, boom, downward. So it's not always that it goes up. You do have an RSI at 55, which is kind of in no man's land. But you can see, if you were to buy into this right now, it's trading at 786. But if you were to buy into this right now, I would put an absolute 100% stop loss at 676, just because that's the 200-day. And there's a volume shelf right there. Let me see. That's the dividend date. This is the volume. Let's see if we pull this back. Let's see where people are holding here. This is the high. You want your volume shelf at the high. See the volume shelf down here? I would probably put in my stop loss at 7 if you're buying at 786. You don't have a lot of upside, so you would have to make your 52-week high, it looks like. Let's see, EPM. My guess, Cameron, this ain't making money. Ooh, it is making money. And it's got a 6.43% dividend. It's up 40. Yeah. Your 52-week high is 855, so you do have 12%. You're 69%. Look at the trend lines. I like that one. EPM might be a good one. It's a good energy play. Nice find. Your average win is 20%. Now, buying and holding makes you 233% versus the algorithm, which got you in and out 23 times, only makes you 145%. Let's look at ALGT. Jesse, I think I figured out your trading strategy. Let's look for beaten down companies and buy them where we think the bottom is. The danger is you don't know where the bottom is. Oh, by the way, if you look up, look at my Twitter account. Let me see. There is an unbelievable 3-part series on Netflix about the GameStop thing. Watch Eat the Rich. That is an unbelievable Netflix documentary. It is hilarious. Jim Cramer is crying about how people don't like him on there. There are these retail traders who make up a rap song called I Like the Stock. It is absolutely hilarious, but Allegiant Travel Company. Isn't this the Allegiant Airlines one? I don't like Allegiant Airlines. November 2nd is their earnings. You've got an average win of 12.5%. It got you in at 68.32. It's trading right at $68 right now. I think you've got a good volume shelf there. My fear is that, again, trade the trend. Where's the trend going? It's going down. You'd have to make this turnaround. Look at that MACD. It's gone up there before, but the stock hasn't gone down or hasn't gone up. So you haven't really won in quite a while on ALGT. Okay, rather than go on YouTube, I will leave the YouTube people for I'll sit on YouTube and trade with you guys. It's been an hour. I've talked enough. Have a great day. Enjoy it. I mean, you are up significantly. The NASDAQ is up 3%. The S&P is up 3%. The VIX, by the way, is down at 31. It's down 2%. So your UVIXI is crazy. Let's see where UVIXI is. Low. UVIXI down at 12. Down at 12, it's down 5%. SVIXI is up. It should be up about 5%. But SVIXI is only up 1%. It doesn't move like UVIXI. For some reason, UVIXI moves a hell of a lot better. But UVIXI is the play, because at some point this thing's coming roaring back from 30 to 35. So, okay, I will talk to you tomorrow. Okay, YouTube Live. I've got to refill my water bottle, but I will be right back and we'll do some trading. God, man, let me see what I'm up. Oh, this scares the shit out of me, by the way. Oof. I'm up 3.1%, so I am beating the S&P, which I typically do, just based on my portfolio. And it's a lot of it is Apple. God. Okay. 3.13% is what I'm up. Okay. I will be right back. Gotta fill up my water. Okay. What am I going to trade? GarageBand. Let's quit GarageBand. Save. I did an hour and 2 minutes on that one. Hey, KB. Hopefully you're still watching. Typically I listen to the podcast. I'm seeing the charts. KB, so here's my suggestion to YouTube. You guys watching on YouTube Live? I'm going to move over to Active Trader Pro. But you guys watching on YouTube Live, I like YouTube Live. And part of the reason I like YouTube Live is I can interact with you guys live versus the podcast is, it's like I'm posting it right now. I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking at right now. Look at this UVIXI. I'm going to zoom in here. Look at the VIX. It's too volatile right now. So look, you're going from 1244 up to 1247. Now, it doesn't have any volume shelf up there, but you're trading on the bottom side of that Bollinger Band. It's got to come up. And so what I would probably be buying right now is this SQQQ under 60. SQQQ, look at that. You're going to start moving that one up. Now, you're at 3% on the freaking S&P, 2.5% on the S&P. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm going to upload this podcast while I'm talking to you guys. That's why I went to Active Trader Pro. And you guys don't have to listen to an ad when you listen to my podcast either. That's the good part. Peacoat is the transition. By the way, on Friday, I did a podcast, Election Insider with Rick, and we interviewed the Vice News reporter who interviewed him with all of his... in fact, you know what? I'm going to include the link to his show in the live chat so that you guys can listen to it. Let me Google Election Insider Rick Barron. This doesn't. Let me see. Election Insider podcast. I don't. There we go. Here's where you can listen to it. Let me share this. Oh, stop. I'm going to share this. Copy. Then we'll go in here. And I will type in. That's the Election Insider podcast. You guys may not like my politics. I may think differently than you guys, but that's what the world is made of. We don't always have to agree, but that's what this country was founded on, was not agreeing. I think there's very good arguments on both sides. I have conservative friends. I have liberal friends. I'm middle of the road, I think. I don't know. Save episode. Where are my notes? What do you guys want me to look at? Bounce up. What am I going to call this without this one? I still like energy, but I don't think energy is the one. Energy is too strong right now. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this buy financials like Goldman Sachs. I won't buy financials. Market update 10/17/22. And then I'm just going to paste in my notes. Verizon. What do you guys think of Verizon? I liked Verizon. I thought it was a good scan. I really do. By the way, if you're watching, hit that thumbs up button. It helps. Let's see. We're going to copy in the link tree. And England is a mess. Fired finance. Halted. BAC. I got to plug in all my dollar signs. Oh, I didn't mention this. Damn it. I got to put this on. So Elon, I'm going to put this in my podcast tomorrow. I can't believe I didn't mention this. Elon is buying Twitter, which we all know Elon's buying Twitter. But Ye Or Kanye is buying Parler. Wow. By the way, I own Morgan Stanley. I like their call on Apple. Apple stores over the weekend. This could be SOXS would be the play. KOLD and Boyle. UCO, SCO. I didn't check them, but people can look at that. I like SOXL is going to be crazy. Let's see. Did this have sustained? No. Oh, man. Let's look at technicals. Uptrend stocks. So if you guys don't know, the Fidelity Active Trader Pro is amazing. Uptrending stocks and 3% higher on 15% volume. So FNHC, what is this? Fed at Holding. Bowl. Is this a pot stock? Bolero. Ah, look at that. Look at that rise. It's up 5% today. Active Trader Pro is awesome. And yeah, you can see it. Over here in the right-hand corner, I have these. GMed has crossed above the D1 line. Let's look at GMed. GMed. The only thing I hate about Active Trader Pro is I use a Mac, and it's built on a Windows shell. Here, let me finish doing this. Goldman Sachs to reorg. Goldman Sachs, I like Goldman Sachs tomorrow. I'm telling you that. Meta headset. I really like that. Spot for Jackson, SO, Duke Energy, Costco, UNH, XLF. God, Venom or Viper Energy with that. Let's look at Viper. I'm going to post this. And then I'm going to post it to Twitter so I can copy. And we will publish now. And we'll post this on Twitter. Nobody's chatting. Or I'm frozen. I don't think I'm frozen. Oh, there's 9 people watching. Okay. Buy financials. Let's see. Support the podcast. We don't want that up there. We're going to take that out. We're going to take this out. BAC. I want to go to markets because I want to see the most actives. Because I usually take the top most actives and I post them in here where I have space because it helps get more people listening to the podcast. I'm pretty sure my Twitter has not brought in any new listeners. LFG, let's fucking go. It's a great stock for today because let's see, we are up 3.13, 2.5. God, this is, by the way, this is a crazy move. Spotify, Duke Energy, and Southern Energy companies. I've got to get a new gas company, by the way. I was just looking at some of the per therm prices. And they are crazy. Scans Verizon. Okay, let's see. I've got quite a few. I can put in TQQQ, SPXU. Let me see, where are my bulls? No, I don't want. I'm telling you, SPXU, I might buy SPXU. SPXL. Um, Tesla. I didn't bring up Tesla. I got to look at Tesla for you guys. Okay, there's only 3. And so let's do SPY. And then we'll get rid of 2 things up here. 1. We'll get rid of that. And then, that's good enough. Tweet. So I tweeted that out. Now let's see. We can go back. Oh, God. Fucking Kanye. We will close that down. We'll close that down. Close this down. We'll close that down. We'll close that down. We'll close that down. Okay. Is Verizon stock a buy? By the way, this is a Motley Fool. Let me go back. Safari View. Is Verizon a stock a buy? See, so here's where I think Verizon is crazy. 7.17% yield. Upgrade from Oppenheimer to $50. Investors Business Daily. Why is Verizon mentioned in this one as a cloud stock? I'm not a fan either. Kanye's not he's a train wreck. Where is Verizon managed? Oh, 5G smartphone overlooked lowered. Led by T-Mobile, wireless firms in the U.S. are deploying 5G using high-performance mid-band radio spectrum, are playing catch-up and will spend the most. Oh, yeah, that's why Verizon's down and AT&T's down. They're just spending a ton of money. T-Mobile spent their money and they're reaping the benefits. And then you're going to have Starlink come out with satellite phone service. They're going to carry phone service over their T-Mobile already announced it. And Dish has the 12 gigahertz spectrum. Huh. Multi-year boom for chip makers. Aside from Qualcomm, other companies make chips. I still like Qualcomm. God, I should have brought that up as my... Okay, let's look at Tesla. Because Tesla is going to be up today. I don't know by how much, but it's going to be up. Look at Qualcomm. Bollinger Bands are expanding. You got this buy-in at 120. It's trading at 112. It got you out here with a 5% loss. I think that's what it is. Yeah. It hasn't gotten you back in. But look at that Bollinger Band right there. It's outside. Even though the candle's green, it's below its Bollinger Band. So, of course, you were going to buy, down at what? 104? Why wouldn't you buy it? You mean that, Al, you mean about the fentanyl and George Floyd? I think here's my take on Kanye, and I'll leave it at this. There is nothing that Kanye does that is not for publicity. Whether it's being crazy, whether it's antics like beating up somebody, whether it's threatening somebody, whether it's the texts with Pete Davidson, there is nothing that Kanye does that isn't 100% for publicity. And that's a dangerous, dangerous precedent to set in your life. Is because if you're doing that, he's lost touch with reality. He's very successful. I don't argue that. He's very good at what he does. He's got obviously musically super talented. I think one of the most talented people you can argue in the music industry. And having hung out with musicians, I can tell you there is just an inner kind of soul to musicians. where he's got it. I mean, whatever it is, it's a soul that just, he can produce music that people like to hear. That fades over time. It always has, it always will. As you get older, you just lose that creativity, and the majority of people just can't keep it up. And I don't think he'll keep it up. I think he's already lost some of his creativity, but I just don't like him. Yeah, Jesse, he's doing better than all of us. Even his Adidas deal, man. I tell you what, it was genius to work out, a deal with Gap and a deal with Adidas, and then pull back. Because here's the business sense of this. You get all of the publicity and all of the knowledge of working with Gap and Adidas. And mind you, I talked to my friend Mark, who has had a printing company, which is where I started working with him. And then he owned 2 restaurants. He's been successful in all of those. All of those things he was successful in. He's got an innate ability to actually do it. Now, if I were to open a restaurant, the first thing I would do is call Mark and say, you've done this. How can I do this? So Kanye went to the Gap. He went to Adidas. And he said, I want to do this. Tell me how to do this. And then what he does is he gets into the contract with them. And then he gets out of the contract by saying they broke up the contract. Well, he learned the business. He probably got in well enough to say, this is what these guys are doing wrong. And he said they're breaking his contract. So I don't argue that he's not smart. I just argue that I do think Kim is right, that he sometimes loses touch with reality. My guess is he's on some type of bipolar medication. But God, look at Qualcomm, man. Why am I not buying Qualcomm here? I'm going to switch over to Active Trader Pro, because I do think I'm going to go SQQQ under 60. Boy, that's tempting. Let me look at SQQQ over the long term. I'll switch back to Safari. You guys know a lot of these decaying asset values I don't like buying based on the algorithm in long term. Oh boy. Look at that. You got juicy gaps down here at 53. You're trading at 58. I think you could trade down to this gap at about 53. Look at that volume shelf too. You know what? That's not enough. We got to go back to the highs here. That's why. Volume shelf back here in June. SQQQ, remember, it's a short. So you're going to go back to, when you pull volume shelves, you want to go back to its most recent high level. But this is probably not enough candles over here. So I pulled it back to this high level, which is June. And you've got this support level right here at 47, which would cover that gap down here at 53. We could be seeing a sustained rally. Oof. I hate to say that because I don't think we're going to see a sustained rally. Let's see. Did this get a cross up? Ooh. Wow. Tesla, man. How is this? Boy, this is juicy. See the Bollinger Bands coming down? You're trading on the bottom side of the Bollinger Bands. You've traded outside the Bollinger Bands a couple of times. You kind of get in there and you get this MACD cross up. And then the RSI shoots up to 34 today. And you got a green candle today. Tiva. Jesse, I don't think Tesla is a bad play. I was waiting for the bounce up, and I'll get to Tiva, Al, real quick, but let me look at Tesla real quick. Here's where I look at Tesla, and I think I did a daily. If you look at a daily, daily's a pretty standard look, and when I posted this, See that right there? That white line is what I posted. And I said, this gap back here. Now, all gaps don't have to be filled. They don't. But you can see as this starts to move downward, the 200-day, and that 50-day is using on the daily, it's using that 200-day as resistance. See? It bounced off that 200-day. The 50-day couldn't do the golden cross. I don't think it's a bad short-term play. Jesse, I do think that you could see a run-up. I mean, it's Tesla. It's going to run up to 250, 300. It's probably going to do that. But let's run the algorithm so that I can zoom in on this and we're going to bring this volume level back here. Boy, you've got no support down here for volume. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to look at daily, and I'm going to bring that volume level support back even further. Let's look at support for volume back here. It was trading at about its high. We'll pull it back here. This is back to about where the volume is. You know what? I'm going to get rid of these. Remove all annotations. Yeah, see, it's so when you pull the volume back to November 3rd, 2020, I should probably pull it back to its last split, October or August 2020. You can see the Bollinger Bands are big. I like it here. Remember, I got out half of my lot, so I think I only have like 10,000, 20,000 left. I got whatever I bought in, I got half of it left because I haven't put the other half back in. Let's look at Teva, T-E-V-A. Dr. Tom is the guy to talk to about Teva and pharmaceuticals. Their earnings are coming up November 2nd. The algorithm actually performs way better, 27%, whereas the buying and holding loses you 15%. Your average win is 12%. You are out of it right now. You just got out of it with a 1% gain. But you can see, hopefully you can see it. It doesn't look like it's going to be big enough for you to see. If you guys were watching on your phone, by the way, I don't know how the fuck you watch this on your phone. But there's a gap right here in the MACD, and it's trending up. What would scare me is the RSI right here at 49. Where does Teva? Let's look at Teva. Are they making money, Al? Al, they ain't making money. Their forward PE is 311, so they could go cash flow positive. Upgrade. Okay, you're listening. So their upgrade, August 5th, they were upgraded to a $13 price target by Bank of America. It looks like there was a downgrade May 4th from $11. Piper Sandler, they had a $9 price target. They're trading at $8.20. That was August 5th. Yeah. They had to update it to $13 because it was trading August 5th. It was trading at their price target. And then, of course, it just falls back down. Look at that trend line right there, though. It is up. Your top trend line is still moving up. You got this gap here, which you're starting to fill. It looks like you've filled it, though. That's what would worry me is on the 4-hour chart, you filled it. On the daily, I don't think you've filled it. Because FinBiz, yeah. Looks like you may have filled it. It didn't fill it all the way down. That's what would worry me about Teva. is you haven't filled it all the way down. Okay, guys, I gotta go get some breakfast. God, look at Roblox. I'm gonna switch you over to Active Trader Pro. There was an article, YouTube video about Snap this weekend, where I should turn this up. This is the killer. Lock volume. Mic. There's the balance. I guess I don't have that turned on, but there was a video this weekend about Snap. Boy, that's up 7.51%. Let's look at Shopify. Shopify's probably flying. 6%. SOXL. Oh, remember where I said get TQQ under 19 earlier today? Wow. Here's one that's pretty SPXU. Oh, I don't want Vail. I want XPXU. I was like, why is Vail showing up? And look, ultra short S&P. It's trading outside the Bollinger Bands on the low side. Huh. Oh, Ruth. Did I go up on Ruth? It's got a volume spike. Ruth is up. No, Ruth isn't trending. Look at the MACD, though. And the RSI. Trade from 818 up to 836. But this volume's so low. Look at the 10-day volume. 310,000 shares versus 353. I think I own $1,000 of this. I'm up like 100% on it. So I just don't want to take the tax hit on it. Although long term. But I will by the end of the year. I got to do some major rebalancing. Here's that LFG. It's in the most actively traded. This is the one where they're buying it at $26. And it's just trading at $25.70. You can make 30 cents, 1%? It'll close out soon. Oh man, technicals. Let's see. Uptrend 3%. This is your options trading. The options trading, high volume options. I don't see any. Oh, Hims. Hims and hers. That's the medical company. AVXL. Oh, that's up. Life Sciences. Biotech. MDGL. Pharmaceutical. Let's go to markets. 115 to 120 is tough on Exxon. Let's go back to Safari. I'll show you Exxon. So here's what you have to think about, Al. Exxon, let's look at XOM. What's their range? It's at 105. Its 52-week high is 105. So you're 74% above your 52-week low of 57. I even bought lower than that. I think I bought in the 40s. You're 4% below your 52-week high. So you're trading at 101. Now, here's the problem I see with Exxon. You've got this earnings coming up October 27th, but see how the RSI is still super high and that MACD is just floundering. The reason the algorithm doesn't get you out of Exxon right here is because these moving averages are high. And so as those moving averages level out, cross up, and do some things, the algorithm's actually going to wind up getting you out of this. hopefully you listen to me and you're in under 100, which I do think is the pivot point on this one. If I go to, but I'll show you kind of what I'm looking at from a daily perspective. See that 200 day, that red one? That indicates to me that it's going to provide some support. So as this moves up, you can see here, July, the support was 77. Now here in October, your support is 87. So it takes a couple of months to get up there. My theory for the 115 to 120 would be probably December. And the question is, do you want to hold on to energy all the way through the November meeting, all the way through the December meeting, where the Fed is going to be raising rates and those bond rates are going to hit 4 and 5%, or I should say 5%. If the 2-year hits 5%, the 10-year right now is at 3.95%. I think there was an economist that I heard, Thursday, that said every tenth of a point move, every 1% move. So from 2 to 3%, 3 to 4%, and 4 to 5%, that's 700 points down on the S&P. So if we were to, you're at 4%, and you were to look at the S&P, let's go to, what is it? $SPX, there it is. And I'm just looking at the S&P. You know what? I'm just going to go to SPY, because SPY's easier. So it's a 10 point. 700 points equals 70 points. So it's a 70 point decline. If you're at today's level where you're 4 and you've got a 70 point decline in the S&P, that's 20% down to 300. That kind of makes sense to me that, okay, if we're going to see the bond rates go up and money moving to bonds because they're paying such high return rates, and it's not private bonds, it's treasury bonds. And remember, when you're getting 5% in a treasury bond, it's most likely like a 7 or 8% yield, because in treasury bonds, you don't pay taxes. You get off of your state taxes, you get off your federal taxes. You don't pay taxes on those things. You do pay income taxes on the payouts, but you don't pay, capital gains taxes on those. So it's an increase. That's where I would worry about. Let me see if there's anything red in my portfolio. Nope, nothing red in my portfolio. That's where I would worry about Exxon. And you can see Exxon right here. It's in my portfolio as far as brokerage holdings. I hold this one. It's still got support above that 9-day. So there's no reason for me to get rid of it. But 115 to 120, that might be tough. And I don't say that it's tough, 4 to 5 months from now. I say that it's tough on this current run. So if you're trading Exxon and you're in on this positive run, which I've been trying to, I should point out Devon. Let's look at Devon, because Devon is one that I have. This is up near 70. So here has been my strategy for Devon, and I've ignored it, completely ignored it. But see, I said, in April, hey, Devon's a great stock. You should buy it under 60. Do a buy under 60. Trade it out here at 80. Then, you wait for it to go down. Well, I'm going to wait for it to go down. I may buy in here because it's under 60. And I said, hey, under 60, you should buy it. Probably would have gotten out, or, probably wouldn't have gotten out, but bought it here at 60. Could have gotten out up here around 80 again. I didn't get back in, but once it dipped under 60 again, buy it. It's up near 70. Sell it. Those are big, again, while you're trading in this dividend. You got the dividend here, which is a 7% dividend. It's not 7%, but it's yielding 7% for the year. You had 2 dividends where you could have held on and then sold out right after the dividend and still been fine. So here's the earnings. Look at what it does during earnings. It tanked on the last earnings. It tanked on this dividend payout. Shot up on earnings there. So $1.88, $2.59 per share. Let's see, $1.39, $1.08. Why did it tank on this? The dividend payout was there. There was a special dividend, I believe, there too. So, yeah, I like this. Okay, it is 10:30. I am going to run because my fat ass sat on the couch all day yesterday watching football. Hopefully you guys did too. Share the program with people that you like. If you're listening, kudos. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast. There's support links down below. I put in a link to Rick's podcast where we interviewed a total fanboyed over this Vice News producer. She's so smart, so much smarter than I could ever be. Trust me. Oh God, look at DraftKings. TQQQ under 20. Still at 19.25. I need to start trading. I need to get back into it. The VIX is at 31.36. I think that's going to touch 30. But we're still going up. The NASDAQ is up 3.3. The S&P is up 2.76. And then the Dow, which is the laggard, is up 2%. Crazy. Let's see what I am. I am up 3.12. So I am not quite beating the NASDAQ, but I am beating the S&P. Well, it is what it is. Al, I hope to see you guys again tomorrow. Jesse, I hope you didn't hear the high-pitched squeal, and I hope your wife didn't either. Zephan, I don't know if you were out there, but appreciate all you guys. And Barb, if you're still out there, Barb, thank you so much for being the first one on with me this morning. Go listen to the podcast. It's an hour. You guys probably heard a lot of it, though. Hopefully I didn't freeze. I think when I first came on this morning, I did freeze. But, okay. See you guys. I am ending this stream.